The Ride with Pride program at Forgeworks Farm is a nonprofit therapeutic horseback riding program located in Rutland, Massachusetts. Owners Ted Mahan and his wife Chris have combined their many years of experience with horse training, competition, and traditional riding with a cutting-edge therapeutic riding program to benefit children and adults living with a wide range of physical, cognitive, and emotional challenges. Today we sit down with Ted Mahan, who's been involved with training and showing horses for more than 40 years. Ted has held Massachusetts and New England championships in hunter-jumper divisions and has successfully competed on a national level. Ted is also a licensed riding instructor. And now, our interview with Ted Mahan from Forgeworks Farm in Rutland. So let me start with the general question. What is the Ride with Pride program?
Ride with Pride is the nonprofit arm of Forgeworks Farm. And basically, when we started Forgeworks and Ride with Pride, we wanted to create a nonprofit entity where we could, accept donations, where we could accept contributions for the program, being nonprofit. And through the evolution of the program, we are still looking for not only financial support, but support through volunteer opportunities. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much how we created that and the reason why.
Right. And obviously, as being a nonprofit, there's always a need for additional funds to keep the place and the programs going. And you find that to be a challenge?
It's a huge challenge. I mean, it was a huge challenge for us from the very, very beginning. You know, we had started the program with no seed money, just, the passion and the desire to want to make a difference in the lives of children, and I think in our own lives. You know, you come to a crossroad in your own life and you want to do something to make a difference and to enhance your own self. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we decided to do this. We had the tools and the experience from working with the horses, and what better way to marry it with helping other people with people with special needs.
That's great. And there's different approaches and different types of riding that are offered at Forgeworks Farm. Can we go over a few of those?
Yeah. Originally from our background was traditional riding. Mm-hmm. Training horses. Teaching riders to ride saddle seat, to ride hunters, to ride jumpers. And I think what makes our program so cutting edge and so unique is that we've incorporated all of these years from traditional riding and training with the therapeutic program. So our one goal is for all of these riders to become as independent as possible, no matter how involved they are. And I think that's very important because people, I believe, are still under the notion that this is a glorified pony ride, and it truly, truly isn't. We want them to have the experience of being able to work around a horse. We want them to have the feeling of freedom. If you're in a wheelchair, we want these riders to have that feeling of freedom and to be sitting on top of a horse, to be like everyone else. Some of them are so challenged that this is the only activity that they can do. So it's something that they can call their own. It's extremely important.
Right. Well, let's break down, if we can, the different types and how they're different. I know that there's some of those include therapeutic riding itself, but you also have interactive vaulting, right, and vocational horsemanship. Can we talk about a few of those?
Sure.
And the differences between them?
Sure. There are many segments that fall under therapeutic horseback riding. Therapeutic horseback riding is primarily working with children and adults, again with a wide range of special needs. And it is done in a group setting, so you may have 2 or 3 riders in one lesson. And what we do is we teach them all of the horse skills: how to steer a horse, how to stop a horse, how to ask the horse to move on or to walk on. Through that, we encourage, verbalization as well. There's also interactive vaulting. And interactive vaulting, it's really gymnastics on the back of a horse. Okay. And we use a different type of a saddle, if you were, with handles. And so when we do it in an interactive vaulting manner, we'll do that with a group of, it could be 4 or 5 riders. And we've been able to use this with the at-risk youth population. At-risk youth girls is one particular organization we're working with.
Yeah.
And you know, when they come out there, you know, they're survivors. You know, they've got a chip on their shoulder. They're tough. They're, you know, and they should have that chip because they've had to survive a lot of things. Right. But to see them have to work together, the goal is for them to ride. Yeah. So to see them be able to work together, to help each other on that horse, to spot, to hold the horse, to just, you know, work as a group, it's a phenomenal thing to see. And to see those barriers and those walls, you know, lower. By the end of their lesson, by the end of their sessions, they're laughing, they're joking, they're having a great time.
That must build their self-confidence too, on top of already being kind of confident to take care of themselves. So there's tricks involved, right, with the vaulting?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, you hit a very key point. We will gain their trust, but not as a person trying to help them. Yeah. We will gain their trust through their interaction with the horse.
Okay.
And so, you know, for instance, if we have a rider that, you know, maybe they just don't want to ride in that particular group, well, we'll take one of the horses out and we'll actually let them clip their whiskers with a little pair of electric clippers. And you know, the toughest kid will be clipping the horse and go, "Oh honey, did I hurt you?" Oh, I mean, it's just so cool to see this, all of a sudden, this mothering and this heart that we all have come out and really want to take care of that horse. And again, through that, they're learning to be able to trust, you know, people and to be able to trust us. So it's kind of a cool thing to see. Vocational. The vocational part of the program is really designed for people that are unable to ride. So, for instance, just because you're unable to ride does not mean that you can't interact with the horses. Right. So what we do then is we teach them how to tack the horses. We teach them how to groom the horses, how to lead them over obstacles. I mean, basically what they would be doing if they were riding, but it's on the ground. Right. They teach them how to lunge. So it's very cool to see a lot of these people, to give them a job, whether it's feeding, whether it's to do the stalls, and to follow through with that task and do that job. And again, to get the joy out of taking care of that horse. Right,
right. And then obviously we've up and say, what is therapeutic riding?
I would say that it is the way someone is able to learn and to be empowered and empower themselves through the challenge of riding and controlling such a large animal. Let's face it, the horse is 1,000 pounds, and most people walk up to it and it's pretty intimidating. But when you're on top of that horse and you get over that fear of the size, and you're able to start to you know, control that horse and feel that horse respond, it is extremely empowering, let alone the physical you know, aspects that come from that. I mean, there are great benefits physically that come from riding a horse. It's through the core movement. The horse resembles the gait of a human being. To be able to steer and stop the horse, you're using your upper body. To be able to verbalize or at least sign on the horse to make them walk on. And then we can take that into a different step and put them in different positions. So when you put a rider in a different position on a horse, they're using a different core, a different group of muscles. So it's extremely beneficial. What we did this year versus, you know, the traditional riding, and you know, we were giving traditional riding lessons, and you know, the phone rings off the hook for that. Because what we did is we kind of took the best from therapeutic riding for the traditional riding. So, you know, in the old days, you'd get a rider on a horse and say, okay, this is how you steer, stop, go out on the rail, hang on. And that can be really intimidating. So what we did is we took the best from therapeutic riding by having a horse leader and a sidewalker, not to support the rider, but just to have somebody there to comfort them, to help them learn how to steer, how to stop, and then after 3 or 4 lessons in that setup, then they're really confident and able to go out on the rail by themselves. We've had to limit that part of the program, however, because it's very difficult for the horses. You know, the horses are trained to move off of your leg or to move if you shift your weight, to go forward when you squeeze with both legs. So what was hard for a couple of our horses was when we would have a traditional riding lesson and we're teaching the riders to do this. And then the next day we put them into a therapeutic lesson.
Yeah.
Well, you have riders that, you know, don't have a lot of strength in some cases. So they're shifting their weight.
Yeah.
You have riders that may be riding very tight in the beginning.
Yeah.
So now the legs are against the horse. Horse wants to go forward.
Right.
So to keep our program as safe as possible, financially, is it the smartest thing to do? No. But not to compromise in what we're really known for is the safety and the quality of our lessons. It is the smartest thing to do. So we really are only doing therapeutic riding for the sake of the horse and for the sake of the rider.
Okay, great. What are some of the different specialized almost equipment that you guys have in the therapeutic riding area?
Well, we have many different types of saddles. I mean, we have a Western saddle, but we also have different type of English saddles. And the English saddles are suited for not only the horse, but for the rider. Some may have a deeper seat, giving the rider more support. It may be a little bit wider for more comfort for the horse itself. We also utilize what's called the bareback pad. And the bareback pad is kind of like a saddle pad with a girth on it, and it has no irons. So it allows the rider to, you know, really develop balance because they have nothing to really secure them. So their legs are long around the horse. They're getting so much benefit from the movement of the horse because you don't have all of that leather and all of the padding that keeps you away from the horse's body. Okay, so they're really receiving a tremendous amount of movement. They're developing their strength through the core area, which a lot of the riders come. Most of them are very weak in the core. Then when we position them sideways again, you know, they're using a different group of muscles. When we turn the riders backwards, and if you ever came down the driveway and you saw a class with kids riding backwards, you go, what are these people doing? But you know, if you think about it, they put their hands on the horse's rump. So as the horse is walking and the rump is moving like this, they're getting a lot of movement, a lot of strength through their arms, through their pecs. They have to hold themselves up. So again, they're using a different group of muscles. So that's been very beneficial. We also use the vaulting surcingle. And we use the vaulting surcingle, which is like a big strap that goes around the horse with handles. Again, not only for vaulting, but we have some riders that have cerebral palsy that are very weak. So if they can hold one handle with one hand, they can help hold themselves up and work the reins with another hand. We have them go the other way. We really encourage them to hold with their weaker arm and steer, you know, with the other hand. So, you know, that's been very beneficial as well. We even had my mother-in-law knit reins. You know, the reins normally are very hard. They're a hard leather. So with kiddos that have cerebral palsy or kiddos that have sensory issues, they don't like that. They can't hold the leather reins. But with a knitted rein, we can tuck them in their fingers, and now we're incorporating the upper body with the lower body. So we're treating the whole person.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And then, you know, it's funny you mentioned the horse. When we think about equipment, and we talk about the bareback pad, we talk about you know, special reins for sensory gripping. It's funny to think of the horse itself as a piece of therapeutic equipment because of the service, because of the conditioning that it's providing itself. But obviously there's so much more than that. It's a connection where the kids would have with the horse that is in itself a whole different thing, which would lead us into talking about safety with riding and ways that or safeguards that are in place for, you know, if any of the riders had a seizure or anything like that. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think the first part of your question is, you know, there are a lot of levels cognitively that are very positive through this as well. Even when, after we're done with our lesson, and we'll go through, you know, we'll change the lessons, you know, every other week. So whether we're working with, you know, exercises and different colored rings, you know, we really encourage the riders to identify what color the rings may be.